Let's talk about Canelo Ggg. You know, I feel like this fight is marinated. We saw Canelo his loss against Bivol. You know, a tough loss. You know, he dared to be great. We saw Ggg against Murata. You know, a lot of questions are still lingering. Is the age of Ggg going to affect him in this trilogy? Canelo, does he need a knockout? What do you think about this trilogy?
I mean, it's a fight that it's a little late in the making, but I think it needed to happen. It would be silly to leave the money on the table for these two guys. It's still an interesting fight. You know, I said it even before the Bivol fight, because I had a good idea that Bivol was actually going to beat Canelo that night, and he did. But I said even then, I was like, even if he does, it doesn't matter. The fight can still happen. You know, Canelo took a big risk. He went up in weight, fought a very young champion, undefeated. He loses, but really, he goes back to his real weight class, the true weight class, to fight Ggg. Now, the question for me really is the weight. I'm curious about Ggg at 68. He's never fought at 68, and you know, so he's moving up to fight Canelo for his undisputed titles. You know, the age plus the weight, it could be a lot of questions for Ggg, and a lot to step up to.
I spoke with Eddie Hearn yesterday, and he gave a bold prediction. He said this is not going past 12 rounds. This is going to be a knockout. Are you expecting the same?
I would agree. I think that an exclamation point needs to be put on the trilogy, and yeah, I could see that too. But I mean, both these guys have two of the best chins in boxing, literally, the two of them. So we'll see. But I could see it ending in a stoppage.
There's a lot of, I guess, I feel like there's more pressure on Canelo. I don't know if you disagree or agree or disagree with me on this, but like I said, there has to be an exclamation for this fight. But I feel like Canelo, if he beats him, well, he should have beat him. Yeah. He had to beat him.
I agree.
If he knocks him out, well, Ggg was old. But if he loses, there's more at stake for Canelo. What is it? It's a high risk, low reward fight for Canelo. I don't know, what do you think about that also?
High risk, sure, not low reward, because there's a lot of money involved. So, you know, we are prize fighters, so we get paid for this stuff. So I wouldn't say low reward, but definitely high risk. High risk. He has a lot to lose. You're right.
Last question. Usyk Joshua, the rematch. You know, we just saw that Robert Garcia just joined Anthony Joshua's. You know, going to be in his corner. He's going to add more to his arsenal. I don't know what you think about that as well, and what do you think about the fight overall?
The matchup with Garcia on paper is odd. He's not known as a heavyweight trainer, right? Not a lot of heavyweights come out of the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. But knowing Robert personally like I do, I understand it, because that's one of the things about Robert. He understands fighters. He is a fighter. He was a fighter. He was a champion. He knows how to speak to fighters. So personality-wise, they probably had some kind of connection, because you have to go and meet your trainer if you're going to work with somebody. And I'm sure that was a big part of the reason why they hit it off. Being able to speak to the fighter, speaking the same language in the corner is important. So that makes sense to me in that regard. Again, not so much on paper, because again, the lack of experience with heavyweights. But man, it's a huge opportunity, and it's a tough fight. It's a really tough fight.
It's a real tough fight.
Usyk looked fantastic in the first fight. He's got the game plan. He's already done it. He knows how to do it. And the thing about Usyk is, you know, he's so fluid, and he figures guys out, and he's such a technician that he's a really difficult guy to prepare for. So I'm not sure if Joshua's going to be able to put together a game plan to topple that.
Eddie Hearn said, and I guess we all seen it, that Usyk doesn't like get hit in the body. You possibly see that Joshua go to use his arsenal to probably go have a stoppage going to the body.
I mean, it's just logistically, it's tough. Joshua's the taller guy. To get down to the body, he's going to leave him open. You know, he's a bigger guy, taller guy. He's going to leave himself open to the faster-handed Usyk if he does go down to the body, especially consistently or with any kind of consistency. So it's an interesting thought. If he can make that happen, we'll see. Joshua's not really known as a body puncher, but again, he is working with Robert Garcia. So
before I let you go, Crawford Spence. That fight is rumblings that it's going to be this year. There's also rumblings that could possibly be next year to marinate a little bit more. A lot of people are saying that's going to be the biggest fight in the boxing will produce in the recent years. What's your thought about that fight?
No need to let it marinate anymore. It's been marinating long enough.
It needs to happen
There's plenty
now.
of flavor in that fight.
Yeah.
Let's get that thing happening. Hopefully it happens this year. And initially, I always said that I leaned towards Spence winning that fight. But the more time that Crawford has spent at welterweight, the way that he's been performing, the way that he's grown into the weight class, it's become a pick'em fight for me. It's really one of those fights where I look at this like Hearns and Leonard. The first time they fight at welterweight, you know, it's that level of fight. It has that kind of feel to it, you know, where really either one of them could have won that fight, and I think that it's that kind of situation again.
If that fight happens, could we possibly see like a trilogy? Could we possibly see it?
That always
just
depends
so much.
That just depends on how it goes. But I do believe the winner of that has real running for pound for pound.
Chris, always a delight to hear from you, talk to you, see you. Thank you so much for your speaking with Fight Hub TV. Thank you so much, brother.
Anytime.